It is Wednesday and it is noon, so that means Facebook Live with the mortgage firm Wellington Lake Worth, and I am here again with Tom Bennett and Elizabeth Lopez. We're here every Wednesday, and it's more of an open forum. Answer any of your mortgage-related questions, and we'll cover some of the things that have been new in the mortgage industry.
Yes, a lot of exciting stuff going on. We're going to go ahead. Sorry about that. A little chapstick issue. Sorry. Okay, discuss a little bit about rates. We're going to go through a little bit about first-time buyer loan programs or bond programs that are still available, and a little bit about what's going on in the real estate market with properties. And we have a new program, I think, with duplexes that might be coming out. So we're going to go through, and loan limits. So we have a few things to go over in the next 30 minutes.
Do I do it, Tom? Do I do it? I don't know.
Start now. It'll be good to start now.
Do I do it? Let's get it over
with. Let's get it over with.
Pull the Band-Aid off, and then we can kind of go from there.
Okay.
Drum roll. Should I get the drum roll?
All right, there we go. It's just what we say when people say what rates are. Again, it just goes back to what the rates are. But the rates are a huge span. It depends on what you're buying, what type of loan you're getting, what your credit scores are. There's multiple things that affect your rate. So what we track really is the 10-year yield. The rates move with the 10-year yield. So, when we look at the last 5 days, you can just see that they've been going up. So we don't know. Eventually it'll come to that point where they peak and then hopefully they level out and start going down. We just don't know where that peak is going to be. So, and we've been getting a lot of different information from a lot of sources, and we get updates from, a couple sources, that are very high level individuals, and it's just they can't quite agree on where we're going to be. So right now, they're just creeping up. So what we're looking at doing is as soon as we can get loans in, just lock them, and hopefully they're not 90-day closings. But if you bring a loan in, you're closing the next 45 days, we just want to come in and we want to lock them. And that's just the way to go. So, it comes back to when I talk about rates with people, it comes back to the value of time. I just hung up with a couple that was just a little bit older than me. And it's how long do they want to wait trying to chase something down as far as a house value and a rate, and how long do they want to put their life on hold, with the time that they have left. So what they had said to me was, that their next 10 years, the value of the next 10 years is gigantic. And obviously we always want to make the right decisions, but, we can't underestimate the value of our time too. All right, you guys have any positive stuff to add on that?
Well, you can look at that, and I'll add some positives. I think that the positive of looking at the 10-year today is that, and I can't see what the number is on top there, but I think it's lower today than it's going to be in the next 3 months. I think we're going to break 5. I just think that I know they're going to meet again this week. It might be another quarter of a point hit, but I have a feeling we're going to get to 5 before we start lowering, I think.
4.92. Yeah, we hear different people say 5, 5.5.
Yeah.
So, we're just getting a lot of different information out there. Yeah, regardless of if you're buying now, you're buying next month, you bought last month, you're refinancing. Refinancing. And there's not a crystal ball, but we are projecting everybody to be refinancing in the next 18 to 24 months or so.
It is kind of funny too. Like I had the earlier in the year, the ones that I did, I had people that they were 5%, 6%, and they were crying about the 5 and the 6%, and then all they hear, oh, we're at 8%, and they're going, we did something right, and they're still going to refinance. Who knows if they need to? And then the other thing I was going to say also is, I wasn't expecting any refis to be coming my way just because, the rates, everybody's going crazy about the rates. But believe it or not, I read an article stating how a lot of the credit card debt has gone up. I can't remember the percentage because I think I just wanted to erase it from my mind at that point. But the amount that has been carried over on credit cards, I have somebody where they're going to be saving close to like $700 a month on their minimum payments by doing a refi. So even though you look at these numbers, it's, whether it's a refi that's going to help you, get through this, or a purchase that you're going to refi later on, I mean, it's just to get your I think your situation in order the best way possible.
All right, we're gonna bring this up here because this was something that I really like seeing. I went
Spoken
ahead
like
and
a true
posted.
banker.
What was
Very good,
that?
Elizabeth. Spoken like a true banker, and that does make a lot of sense. Take a look at your credit card interest rates that you're paying on those. Take a look at those balances. I think it's been a challenging year for a lot of people. They have been reaching out to their credit cards, but even though you think rates might be high today with your mortgage, if you've got equity in your property, again, 7-8% on a refinance is a lot lower than 22% on a credit card.
Absolutely. I've seen 28s, which
28.
blew my mind. I was in like just blown away that 28%. I couldn't even believe it when I saw that.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's weird how people kind of, sorry. It just
No.
it's weird how again people kind of jump at the 8% on my interest rate on my house, which of course I'm going to gain equity in over time. But of course the 28 or 25% I'm paying on my credit cards, which is nothing but a money pit, is okay. So that's kind of oxymoron to me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted
okay.
I wanted a special call out to Elizabeth and Kathy Anderson. This was the email that came across last night, and Elizabeth says, "How fast can we close a refi? I have an X dollar amount refi, but it needs to be closed by the end of the month. Customer needs funds for medical reasons." And Kathy Anderson, her processor, her response was, "Bring it. We can do it." So my response, I said, was, "I love it. Love that response. I love that attitude." And Elizabeth called the customer back and said, "Let's get it," and we got the loan.
Yeah.
But it just comes back to, we can do it. We can do it. We want to do it, and we're going to get them closed, and we want to get them closed quickly. So,
And we just got the news that they're on a condo approved list because it happens to be, a very nice condo. It's approved, and Carolina, which is our other loan partner processor, writes back with "Woohoo, let's do it!" And it's like this cat over here, if you can see it. So everybody's excited, everybody's on board, and that's just pretty much what, like you said, it's what separates us from the competition. We're just hands in and get to work.
so I cut the snip off before Carolina had her. So if I just waited 5 more minutes, I could have snipped out Carolina's positive response and added her to this.
Correct. So I just wanted to shout out there too for Carolina.
And of course, check out the timestamp on this. And not that, we all work and we all know our phones are always on, but 7:24, 7:47, 8:05, no long response. Everybody was on board and within 15 minutes. Yeah. Awesome.
That never happened at the bank.
Our old manager wasn't calling us at 8:00 saying, "Can I help you with a loan?" All right, let's do a couple of the good things we have coming along. All right, loan limits, conventional loan limits, $750,000. So, up from 726,200. So that's not quite 5%, about 3% increase, but it's a bigger loan amount. And also, I do like to throw out, because a lot of people don't realize, you can do a quadruplex. You can get a $1.4 million loan for a quadruplex. It counts as conventional loan. So not jumbo, not anything. It's just conventional loan. And we'll cover a couple little things on quadruplexes, triplexes, and duplexes, shortly. But it's nice to see those numbers going up, especially in South Florida, where the cost of these houses is increasing a lot.
Yeah, certainly a duplex, 2, 3, 4 units. You occupy one side as a primary, and we'll get into that. You rent out the other ones, and it's a good way to gain good equity in property and still get money from the other side that you're renting out.
Yeah, the official announcement, we have the ability to finance at 750. So we have the ability to finance at 750. Now the thing we have to remember is we got to make sure that our credit reports are good through the end of December, because by the time the actual official 750 comes out, it's going to be a little bit further into the end of the year. So we just want to make sure that we're not closing these loans with old credit reports. All right. Here is the good thing on that is you can do on a conventional loan. You used to have to put when you started getting to multifamily, you had to start putting more money down. You'd have to put 25% down, 30% down, and they might have. I mean, really on a primary duplex, we used to be able to do 15% down. It was expensive, and the MI was ugly. But I would say there is a time, and I did do a customer of mine 50% down with MI, and back when the rates were a little better, it wasn't so bad. But for the most part, 20% on a duplex, 25% as you got into triplexes, quadruplexes. But now we're going to be able to start doing 5% down on duplex, triplex, and quadruplexes. And I love multifamily housing, especially for younger buyers that are looking to build a portfolio. If you're looking to build a portfolio, you can get into these new houses as a primary residence for very low. You know, you could potentially be buying many multifamilies. You buy them for a year, you live in it, you get how you want, get it how you want, and then down the road you buy another one. So I think it's a great opportunity for.
I still want to kick myself from 10 years ago that you said go buy a duplex, and I didn't listen to you, Mike.
No,
And I remember that
changed.
conversation.
Yes.
I went straight to Loxahatchee and bought that, that house that we were looking at. And I look back now at the prices that they're going for, and it's absolutely insane. I mean, we were looking at, this is 2013, 2014 when you told me this. So yeah, almost 10 years ago, or 10 years ago. And to this day, I just, I see the just the income that people are making that did this first. Then they went ahead and bought, their dream home. And we've always said your first home doesn't have to be your dream home, but this right here is just the perfect example of just, how to eventually get to that point of your dream home, especially, in this market. This is an amazing opportunity.
Yeah. Ask me how many duplexes I own, Elizabeth.
How many duplexes do you own, Mike?
They're the same as you.
So here you are preaching to me 10 years ago.
I know, I got all kinds of great advice, but
we follow it.
I was going to say,
when I bought my first house, though, I had no idea. I didn't know anything about loans. I think my realtor was my mortgage broker too. I mean, I just went and got. I knew nothing about it, and I do wish that I had somebody kind of pushing me a little bit towards buying stuff and looking at cash flow more for future rentals. But yeah, duplex, triplex, quadruplexes would have been an interesting purchase. But I will say though, I mean, I did have a rental property. And, you gotta be prepared to be a rental, to be a landlord, and you got to be prepared to drag somebody out when they're not paying their rent. So, you just have to. But if you have that stuff in place and you have people to help you with that, it's all very doable. So.
Yeah, I would think that if you're going to become, and I think we've all been in this long enough, had a couple of properties, had some tenants, and Mike brings up a good point. It's not all made in heaven. In other words, and so there are times, of course, when you are a landlord and you have to collect the rent and so on. And sometimes I suggest to investors it might be worth investing into an association or a company that will do that. I found it pretty hard going and knocking on doors when rent was due. So again, it's the other advice would be it's a 5% down. It's an awesome program. But as you own the property, certainly look to pay down the property and, try to gain as much equity in that property as you can over time, because it's a long-term investment property that pay off in the long run.
Yeah. And again, a lot of it is knowing, is it something you can do? I mean, I tell people I've got 4 kids. I got a couple of them that they'll cover the rent for the tenant until the kids are out of college if they stop paying. And then I've got another one I say he'll drag a pregnant woman out into the street if she's a day late in rent. So maybe the right answer is somewhere in between. But you've got to figure out what's your comfort level on that. So now ADUs, accessory dwelling units. This just came out with FHA. So it's if you have like a house and then you have a detached garage that was enclosed into maybe a mother-in-law apartment or or just even like a 2-2. So accessory dwelling units, we can count income on those now on FHA loans. So we can do if it's projected that you can do $1,000 of rent on that unit, we can add $750 to the buyer's income, and that $750 will help them qualify. We can use if you have a garage and you want to renovate it, maybe you want to renovate your house and you want to renovate your garage and turn the garage into some type of a rental unit, we can go ahead and count potentially 50% of that value. So we'll add $500 a month to your income to allow you to qualify. So it does, and this just came out through FHA. So it opens up some opportunities because we're actually running right now. We're trying to run some pilots for FHA new construction, where for duplexes. So we want to do that, but multifamily vacant lots are very expensive. So and there's not as many of them. You're very limited. But as you get into single family vacant lots, it becomes a little bit more doable. Now it's a matter of, you're trying to get things I'm trying to get the pricing down for the builders so we can start getting maybe more affordable housing for buyers out there. But it becomes just getting a nice solid design out there. But, in my mind right now, I'm trying to think, how do we get a nice little 3-2 house with a, detached, maybe 2-2 or a 2-1. Um, that could be potentially converted back to garage if needed sometime in the future. That could leave some income for a first time home buyer without it actually having to be qualified as a duplex, if that makes sense. So
And we see this a lot actually in Loxahatchee. There's tons of homes out there with the mother-in-laws with the detached garage, and I know my husband would love a detached garage. Like I that would be that would be his home. But there's tons of houses out in Loxahatchee. That seems to be the thing right now. And I have seen it to where just to qualify, there's a lot of families that are going in. And it's different it's what's it called just different generations. It's the grandfather, grandmother, and then the kids, because of what the prices are on the homes right now. And they're helping each other out to put a bigger down payment if they sell one of the properties, but here's another option of helping with more income if needed, but to qualify. But we are seeing this more and more.
Elizabeth, that's a great point, and you're working on a customer right now where you have two generations that are going to move in together, and you have basically a mother-in-law.
Yep.
And it does, like I said, it's the way that a lot of stuff is happening. And again, we have so many individuals from that have moved from different cultures that have come into here, and they do stay together generationally. So it does become an opportunity, to keep the families together by having some of these units and being able to count the rent on those. So we're still sort of chewing on the applications, but I do love the idea of, when we do a huge construction perm department, we have a great construction department. We actually have some of our builders have come back to us for their personal loans. They like our department so well. And also I like where the rates are right now, the idea that you build, and your build's gonna be done in 6 months, 8 months. And if you're optimistic, hopefully we'll be looking at something a little bit better at that time, but who knows? So.
Yeah, ever since we've all experienced and seen the effects of families wanting to be together, especially since the COVID breakdown, people were moving from everywhere just to be with family. So again, if somebody wants to move in, you've got like Elizabeth said, a place to put them. We can now use that as rent, which is a huge help.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have a question from Roger, and he's saying, how do we determine what the rent is going to be on a accessory dwelling unit on a renovation? So I think what he's looking at is if he has like a detached garage and he wants to turn that into a 1-1, 2-1, whatever it's going to be, is where does that determination come from on the rent? And at this time, I would believe that when we do an appraisal on the house, we'll do evaluation on the house, but we also get a rent schedule. And the appraiser will go out there and he'll take a look at what that accessory dwelling unit will look like afterwards and what the going rent in that area would be for it. Now, we don't do calculations based off of Airbnb income. We do calculations based off of annual leases. So it would be based off of that. So for somebody who's looking at turning that accessory dwelling unit into an Airbnb, I'm not real sure how that factors in, but we're not going to qualify your income based off of that.
And if I'm not mistaken, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I know that this is pretty new, and I know Kathy shared this yesterday, or when did we meet? Was it yesterday? I had a very long day yesterday, but she did share that we have to be able to. It's not just here's a garage with with a hot plate, or you know what I mean? Like this is where somebody's going to live. You have to have, it's got to
An
be like,
oven.
yes, it has to be a stove. It's got to be like a full on, like actual livable space. It's not just, you're not just going to stick somebody in a garage with a hot plate and a sink, and call it, an apartment or whatever.
Right. Apparently, she made it a point to say it really can't be a desk and a hot plate on top. It's got to have at least a wiring to support an oven or something to that effect. Something to that type of appliance. You can have a mini fridge, but you got to have, I guess, something to cook on. And she seemed
no sleeping bags in the shed and thinking
Right.
they're getting $1,000 of additional income. So.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
I will tell you though, my mother-in-law lives in a tent in a yurt now in Idaho, so I could put a sleeping bag out in the shed and she'd be very happy. So, of course, we wouldn't do it. All right, let's see what else we got good.
I have a question here from Carol. She's asking, can my closing costs be put into my loan? Not anymore. Many years ago, they used to be, but not anymore. However, we do have bond loans that you that we could set you up with that will help you with your closing fees. They're down payment assistance loans or bond loans, and those will help with your reimbursement of your down payment and your closing fees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you pretty much the tough thing is you have to get when people would say I want the seller to pay my closing costs. Basically, what you're doing is you're just paying $5,000 more. So if the seller wants 500, you give him 505, and then he pays 5,000 your closing cost. So basically, you're just you're paying more if the appraisal can come in, which is the tough thing in this market is getting your appraisal to come in, and include that. So that's why you're just better off getting these bond programs to go ahead and help you with your closing costs.
And while we're on that, if you don't mind, I'm going to elaborate on something that I went through this morning, and on an occasion, I'm sure you do too. Down payment assistance program is what they're called. They're called down payment assistance. However, the money isn't given until closing. So the borrower still needs to come up with their initial earnest money deposit funds, whether it's from their own checking account, savings account, gift funds. But the down payment assistance isn't money or funds that are given to you prior to closing. It's the money that you'll receive at the time of closing is when the down payment assistance funds also are now available to you. Make sense?
Okay, that's a great point, because I have had people just ask, that especially for example, with when Hometown Heroes was a lot bigger, they were counting on that money, and they would say, well, the EMD at that point, your deposit, that's where I'd be getting the money from. But no, it's an assistance, not a full on 100% financing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in other words, they call it down payment assistance. We're assisting you with the down payment, but you're not given any funds prior to closing.
Yeah, that's what you're right. We got to be careful. For somebody who's putting a big deposit down, it's hard to get that money back. So Now we also want to talk. We've got a Halloween happy hour on the 26th. So from 5 to 7:30. If anybody's in the area, that's going to be Thursday, October 26th, which is going to be not this Thursday, but next Thursday. So swing by, you can grab a drink. We'll have some snacks and we'll have some games. I'm telling people, brush up on your villains, and also it's going to be welcome to kids. We'll have some, we'll have treats for them, and we'll also we won't have some of the scarier villains, in the early part of our. Where you got to start guessing who is who, and we'll maybe have a few out there that kids can pick up on.
Yeah, it'll be fun for them. I think every single time we've had a get together there at the office, it's just very comfy. We're all there just just having a little fun, and we have a great building. I mean, I think our building I think they've been waiting quite a while for us to do this again. We seriously, I randomly we'll pass somebody in the hallway in our building, and they're like, "When's your next happy hour?" So here you go. If you're watching this.
Happy hours, donuts. Our donuts downstairs was there the other day. I think Kim at the desk was asking about our next donut thing. So, yeah, we're popular with the food events.
Yeah, if you look behind their desk, you can see they all have bags. You see, they all have their mortgage firm grocery bags are sitting behind there. So,
Yeah.
but they've been really good. We had our training, we had our condo class yesterday. They knew about the condo class.
Yeah.
We had a great turnout for the condo class, and we will touch quickly on that. It's changing the expectation. For if you're going to sell a condo, what's needed. They'll have like listing agents will come in with their information pack, or they'll have the stuff that's needed. On a listing presentation, what we're saying is we just want one more thing added. These are the items that need to be collected from the HOA because they're going to be collected anyways. We're just going to be collecting them over the next several weeks. This stuff needs to be collected up front. So there's a condo questionnaire, and there's a bunch of documents that we want the agents to be getting before they list the property. Because right now, they list the property, they're taking a 5%, 10%. I don't care if it's a 20% down offer. That 20% down offer requires a full review. So by the time we have all the documents, the buyers drop $2,000 out of their pocket on appraisals, inspections, condo questionnaires, interviews. And then we get the condo questionnaire back that says that the place is a mess, that they've got assessments coming up, they have all kinds of problems. There's no way that we're going to be able to finance it unless we go with some type of alternative financing. So we want them to change the way they do listings, and that information needs to come up front. Because I'll tell you what, I really want to start going after the sellers. If my buyer has dropped $2,000 of their money trying to buy this place in good faith, and the seller hasn't disclosed all these potential assessments, we haven't been able to get the insurance immediately, the budgets, the balance sheet, all that stuff should just be right there. But we find out all this information after they've spent the money. Again, I feel like the seller owes the buyer some money.
And this isn't something that's going away. This is going to be something that's snowballing to all the condominiums now. So we've already regretfully seen some buyers that have gone through, again, as Mike said, appraisals, inspections, and so on and so on. And then we find out Elizabeth just experienced one. I just had one. They had no wind insurance. They had wind insurance last month, but for some reason they decided to just let it cancel. And so every condominium is going to be picked apart. It's getting to the point where but they're asking for the minutes, the minutes of their meetings. If there's even a mention of any kind of constructional improvement, it's a red flag.
I would say too, first we look and you're thinking, we want to close all our loans. You want to close. But you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing by the buyer. So if the buyer is walking in to a condo with no idea of all these potential increases in assessments, the buyer needs to know that, and the buyer needs to be aware. And a lot of times we're thinking, I think we can close. But does the buyer really want to close? If they have all these potential assessments and problems coming up, maybe it isn't the best place for them. And I will say, we do have some great condos out there. I just closed one it was beautiful. They had everything in line. All the deferred maintenance was being taken care of. It was really run well. And I think as you start finding those condos that have been doing the regular maintenance, they've been keeping the money and the reserves, and they've been run well, you're going to see value in those condos. And the others that have just been kicking the can down the street and doing nothing, you're going to start seeing some problems with those condos.
We should call those unicorn condos. They're very few and far in between, but they're perfect. That one that you did close was a perfect condominium. It was, again, you can go through 20 or 40 of them and you can get one that's perfect.
Yeah, we closed 2 in the last month that were full reviews. So, and they were in decent price ranges. And again, I tip my hat to these condo associations that are doing the right stuff when so many of them are not. I do have Roger was asking, he says, would you steer away from buying a condo at this time? And I would say no, I would not steer away from it. I would just make sure that I was doing my homework well. So, and I would also, make sure that you're getting the documentation that you need. And I know we had a couple of realtors in the class the other day saying, when a condo's priced right, you have multiple offers. So you have a lot of people offering money on these condos without having anything. They're not saying, I need this, 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 and this. They're just saying, hey, this is my offer. And if you're in there offering, you're up against cash offers or people that are putting, 35, 40% down. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But I would still say, if the condo's solid and you get the information up front, and it's where you want to be. I wouldn't run away from condos at this time. I'd do my due diligence on it.
Good, like anything, as long as you know what you're kind of getting into, or know as much as you can acquire of what you're getting into. Like, none of us like surprises, and
Yeah.
none of us have a crystal ball. But if you can gather as much information as you can, well, then it's a good decision to purchase.
Mhm.
Well, we're going on 12:30. That was a quick 30 minutes.
That was a good 30 minutes. So, any last minute words of wisdom? You guys have anything good this weekend going on?
Open house on Saturday.
Yeah.
Sunday, don't know yet.
Yeah. We need to start posting your open houses. I've got an open house tomorrow night. So I got an open house 5 to 7 tomorrow night. And then we have a couple this weekend that we're going to be going with. So we need to start getting those flyers out there, and we'll get them up on our web pages. So, we can have you guys come out and visit us too. All right. All right, everybody. Well, we appreciate you joining us. We're going to be doing a home buyer class tonight at 6:30. We already have a few RSVPs for it. So you can go to tmfclasses.com. TMF is in Tom, Michael, Frank, classes.com, and sign up for a home buyer class. We have also mortgages for realtors comes up the first Monday, I believe, and we have the Spanish mortgages for Spanish-speaking customers is on, I believe, the first Tuesday of next month. But get into the tmfclasses.com and sign up for a class. Have a great week.
Thank you.